Just try to entertain here at Online Big Blue Sports Entertainment. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. I want to talk about honesty within the Giants ranks in reference to the media. I want to talk about the Giants' top defensive target. Look like he's going to the Tennessee Titans. Want to briefly chat about the Senior Bowl and all these other wonderful things that are going on in Giant land. The Giants' top defensive target looks like he's heading over to take the job as a defensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. That of course is Denard Wilson. I'm not upset about it. People talk about how he turned around the secondary over in Baltimore. Okay, Baltimore was one season removed from 4 good seasons in a row defensively. You can credit him with that. That's fine. I don't want another learn-on-the-job coordinator. I'm sorry. We're probably going to end up one because Brian Daboll doesn't want to have any type of challenge to his, to his thought process and to his regime. I want to bring in someone here who's got some experience. I do. I want to bring in someone here that we're not going to have to handhold, kind of like what we did with Kafka for 2 years and have one of the worst ranked offenses in the last 2 seasons. You had a fairly good run for 2 years under Wink. It's just you didn't have the pieces. You probably need to change up what you want to do defensively, your philosophy for your defense, but philosophizing with your defense. I can't even talk today. I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee. I ran out of Magic Mind. But I want to bring someone else in. I want to bring someone else with some experience. And maybe Daboll doesn't like that, but we're back in the rebuild. Back in the rebuild again. We're back in the rebuild one more time. We want to go to that place.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Jim, I want to talk about playoffs because I'm a season ticket holder. I have to send in my money, my thousands of dollars to the Giants for my season tickets in the next couple days. And I'm still debating whether I want to do it. I'm still under that debate because of the fact that you just don't get a lot of honesty out of this organization. You really don't. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be upset about it, but it is what it is. And I always think I was forced to take drama in college as an elective. So, everyone knows I like to quote Shakespeare quite extensively, which is fine. I always love to quote Shakespeare. And one of my favorite Shakespeare quote is, "No legacy is so rich as honesty." Now, some people out there may be saying, well, Tim, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means quite simply that being truthful with your feelings and being truthful with your facts. That's all. That's basically what Shakespeare was trying. That was what Shakespeare was trying to say. And sometimes I look into the Giant organization. I look at some of the things they do. Look at some of the things they say. And I think to myself, how honest are they actually with their fan base? Now, of course, they're not going to come out and just immediately say, we're just terrible. We're just awful. We're not going to improve any this year. Well, of course, they're not going to say that. Of course, Joe Shane's not going to tell you who they're going to draft. It wouldn't make sense to. Of course, that's not going to happen. But I expect a little bit of honesty. Now, you look at the thumbnail, and I have a little bit of the Mount Rushmore, what would potentially be part of a Mount Rushmore of Giant greats. And I think of the honesty that comes out of their mouths. And I start from, if you're looking at the screen, I start from right to left, and I go with Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber had honesty. Tiki Barber left the Giants and came out and literally was, when he was doing his NFL gig, and was honest about the Giants. He didn't think that Eli Manning was the guy. He didn't think the Giants were going to go very far with him. He thought, he basically said what he felt about the organization. He got blasted for it. And early on, after those comments, it wasn't looking too good until Eli had that magical run at the end of the 2007 season. And I love Eli Manning. I also love Tiki Barber, both great players. But at the end of the day, he spoke the truth and got ripped for it with the Giant media and the New York media. Now, a couple of years later, he's on WFAN. He's trying to do everything else. He's trying to get back in the good graces of the Giants. And he literally will never say anything bad about the Giants unless it is the topic of conversation or the true thoughts or the thought that everyone thinks. He joins the collective. And I understand that because he wants to get back into the good graces of the Giants. I've said it before. He wouldn't say shit about the Giants if he had a mouth full of it. Because that's just what Tiki Barber wants to do. And that's fine. But again, you're not being honest with the fan base. You're not being honest with your opinion. Same thing with Eli Manning. Eli Manning works for the Giants. Eli Manning's in the building every day. Do I expect Eli Manning to come out and say anything derogatory about the Giants or derogatory about Daniel Jones? No. But when you sit there and you post things on Twitter and you have conversations, you have interviews about Daniel Jones, you speak about all the good things that Daniel Jones allegedly does. You don't speak about anything else that he doesn't do. Because you're not being honest, because you're paid by the organization. You go to Phil Simms. Phil Simms worked for multiple networks, for, broadcasting NFL games and being an in-studio analyst. At times, you could tell his giant privilege is there. And get that white privilege, giant privilege. You could tell his giant privilege is there because he won't really speak anything, again, derogatory about the Giants, even though he no longer works for the Giants. And again, and if it's a popular opinion about the Giants, then he will go with that. And you look at it, going all the way to Carl Banks. Carl Banks, voice of the radio with Bob Papa. I still but Carl Banks is an enigma. He'll have moments of lucidity and clarity when broadcasting a game. And he will sit there and he will tell you, he will say something like, how the Giants suck or something just went horribly wrong, how terrible this player is. And then after the broadcast, he will go back and basically not fully retract, but he will give an explanation of why he said what he said. And it almost turns around, he's trying to respin it into the facts that, oh shit, I had a moment of honesty. I was honest. And I got to come back and tell you, well, I was honest. Yes, I was honest, but I was wrong to be honest. Then I think of Howard Cross, the tight end for the Giants, former tight end from the Giants. He works. He's another one on the Giant broadcasting team. He works in the stadium. He does, when you're in the coaches club, they have like a show at the end of each game where Howard Cross takes questions. And I remember the Seattle game vividly because James Williams and I were in there. We were in the coaches club. And Howard, and nobody wants to talk because you just had the big interception from Witherspoon. It was just a bad place to be. It was just a bad time to be there. And people actually asked Howard Cross honest questions. And the honest questions were, about the misread by Daniel Jones. And honestly, that was a rookie misread that he had. And Howard Cross got mad that people were actually asking that question. To the point that he turned around and told people, and it was funny because James talks about it all the time. He told people, well, it wasn't Daniel Jones' fault because he was getting hit all day. So even though he had a clean pocket, even though he was able to look downfield, Daniel Jones, even though there was no pressure on that pass, Howard Cross used the excuse that, well, Daniel Jones was worried about getting hit because he was getting hit all day. Couldn't just been a bad read. Couldn't have been a good play by a rookie. And then the rookie comes out and says, yeah, we know Daniel Jones likes to go to his first read. And again, that rookie had a moment of honesty, but of course he's from Seattle. And it was just aggravating the fans because they kept asking the questions, looking for an honest answer, hoping for an honest answer. And they got every other excuse in the book about why this Daniel Jones did what he did. And all Howard Cross could do was literally argue with the fans. It was pissing James off. James had to leave. I don't blame him. No legacy is so rich as honesty. And I think a little bit of truthfulness out of this organization would go a long way. I'm not saying you got to come out and bash Daniel Jones. We're not coming out and saying you got to bash anyone on the team. But I am just saying this. When you have a moment of lucidity and you have an opinion that's actually factful and truthful, but may not be a popular opinion, you need to stay with it. You need to just, what happened to the people? What happened to people just manning up and sticking to their convictions? People say they always hate me. Some people hate me because they're like, well, you don't change your opinion. Well, my facts change my opinion, and facts over an extended period of time change my opinion. I don't sit there and tell you that if a player has one good game, I always give them their flowers, yes, but then I also say it's one game. People talk about Dane Belton. Dane Belton, he's gonna be part of the future because of those 3 turnovers. Okay, well, who was the trailer on the 3 touchdown plays? And even one of them is my thumbnail. It was Dane Belton. When the Eagles finally scored a touchdown, who was the trailer on that play? Who missed his assignment? It was Dane Belton. Dane Belton got benched in the Texans game in 2022. And didn't see the field in 2023 until injury. So can we just be honest about that? No, we can't, because he had 2 interceptions that were gifted to him by bad throws on missed routes by Bradford. I'm not Bradford. I always want to say Bradford. I don't know why I want to say Sam Bradford. I actually found a Sam Bradford rookie card from Oklahoma when I was cleaning out the office the other day. I thought that was kind of Matthew Stafford. I thought it was kind of funny that I found a Sam Bradford rookie card. Maybe that's why he's on my mind. But it was people just need to be honest about it. Yeah, he had 2 good plays, but what about the 4 touchdowns he gave up in 3 games? Well, no, we want to talk about that, because then that's just being honest. That's honesty. No legacy is so rich as honesty. So we can't have that. We would be off in a better place if Shane would just come out or Dable would just come out, instead of preaching the existence of Daniel Jones and how wonderful he is, just turn out and just basically say, listen, he had a bad year. Offensive line wasn't good, 100%, but he just had a bad year. We still believe in him. We still believe he's going to be our quarterback. And that's funny. You never hear them ever say, we still believe in Daniel Jones. In these press conferences, Shane, you never hear, we really believe in Daniel Jones. We really think he's the quarterback of our future. We just need to make sure that, he continues to grow as he's been doing, because, we see him to here for the next 5 years. No, you never hear that. You always say, well, Daniel Jones, when he's healthy, will be our starting quarterback. Yeah, $68 million in dead cap space. And Mitch says that right there. And then I love the people that, again, like, well, we can get out in 2025. Yeah, 22 million dead cap number 2025, another 11 million in dead cap space in 2026. But that's okay. That's all right. We know what to say.
What I got to say, you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty?
Maybe that's all I just want. Just a little honesty. Like I said, I always taught people in business, and I have had a very colorful career, and I've got to do a lot of things that people will never, ever get the opportunity to do. And I always feel blessed by that. I've gone places, I've done things, I've met people in my career, and it's always been a wonderful experience, and it allowed me to retire at 44 years old. And it allows me to do this without the repercussion worry about having to make any money off of this. But one of the things I taught people, especially executive level people, was, especially towards the end of my career, be honest. Be honest with your teams. Be honest with your salespeople. Be honest with your managers. Be honest with your vice presidents. It may hurt a little bit. It may make you look bad, but just tell them like it is. And they are going to respect you more for that than coming out and making excuses. And then after you make all these excuses, they turn around and they sit there and they're like, well, you lied to me this entire time. Just be honest. It'll sting for a moment, but then it goes away. And that's what we need to look at. Bo Nix is having a terrible Senior Bowl. I mean, some people are tracking Bo Nix to being a first-round pick for the Giants. I never saw it. Still don't see it. I think he's a second or third day guy to me. But you know what? It is what it is. Again, the truth shall always set you free. No legacy is so rich as honesty. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk. And don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. That'll be awesome.